Commander Jack Hawthorne stood at the viewport of the Terran flagship The Void, his weathered face illuminated by the swirling crimson storms of Nix 9, a planet once deemed too perilous for colonization. His calloused hand absently stroked the scaled head of Nemesis, his Nix Shadowstalker, a creature that, until recently, had been classified as an apex predator too dangerous to allow continued existence. "Hell of a view, isn't it?" Old girl Jack murmured, earning a low, resonant purr from the 8-foot-long reptilian beast. Its obsidian scales shimmered with an iridescent sheen, 4 ruby eyes blinking in sequence as it observed the tempestuous world below. The door to the observation deck hissed open, admitting Admiral Chen Wei, his crisp uniform a stark contrast to Jack's well-worn expedition gear. "Still keeping dangerous company, I see," Commander Chen remarked, eyeing Nemesis warily. Jack grinned, a flash of white teeth against his tanned skin. "Don't tell me the notorious Steel Admiral is scared of a little lizard." Chen snorted, shaking his head. "That lizard of yours could tear through tritanium like wet paper. I prefer my limbs attached. Thank you very much." Their banter was interrupted by the chime of the ship's AI. "Sirs, the Galactic Council representatives have arrived and are awaiting your presence in the main hangar." Jack's expression hardened, his steel-gray eyes focusing on the swirling storms below. "Showtime, then. Ready to rewrite galactic history, Admiral." Chen straightened his already impeccable uniform. "As ready as I'll ever be, Commander. Let's go introduce our esteemed guests to humanity's most controversial allies." As they made their way through the Void's gleaming corridors, crew members saluted smartly, their eyes widening at the sight of Nemesis padding silently alongside Jack. The Nix Shadowstalker's presence was a testament to humanity's unique approach to dangerous fauna, not extermination, but partnership. The main hangar bay was a hive of activity. Terran Marines stood at attention, their powered armor gleaming under the harsh lights. But it was the menagerie of creatures accompanying them that drew all eyes. Beside a squad of elite shock troopers loomed a pair of Titans, massive, 6-limbed behemoths from the high-gravity world of Elysium. Their crystalline hides refracted the light, creating a dazzling display of colors. Each Titan could easily match the firepower of a small warship, yet they stood docile, occasionally nuzzling their human handlers with surprising gentleness. Near a cluster of scientists, a group of void weavers floated serenely. These ethereal, jellyfish-like creatures had once been the terror of deep space, their ability to create spatial rifts making them the bane of early interstellar travel. Now they served as living FTL drives, their unique biology allowing for safer and more efficient faster-than-light travel than any artificial means. And there, at the center of it all, stood Dr. Nathan Drake, the pioneering xenobiologist whose revolutionary theories on interspecies communication had laid the groundwork for humanity's unprecedented success in taming the galaxy's most fearsome creatures. The hangar bay doors ground open, admitting the Galactic Council delegation. Ambassador Zil Ax, an imposing figure that appeared to be a hybrid of human and fish, led the group. His scaly skin glistened with moisture, a transparent apparatus filled with water surrounding his gills and lower face, allowing him to breathe in the ship's atmosphere. His large, dark eyes widened in a mix of fear and awe as he took in the assembled creatures. By the cosmic currents he gurgled, his translator struggling to convey the depth of his shock. "You actually brought these beasts aboard your vessel." Jack stepped forward, Nemesis a silent shadow at his side. "Welcome aboard the Void, esteemed representatives. I trust your journey was uneventful." Kral Vor, the Centaurian diplomat, snorted derisively. His equine lower body stamped nervously, while his humanoid torso twisted to take in the surroundings. "Uneventful? You summon us here to this collection of nightmares and ask if our journey was uneventful." "Doctor." Drake intervened, his voice calm and reassuring. "I understand your apprehension, honored guests. But I assure you every creature you see here is not only tamed but is a valued partner in our ongoing mission to explore and settle worlds once thought uninhabitable." Zil Ax's gaze locked onto Nemesis, who regarded the alien with cool indifference. That is a Nix Shadowstalker, is it not? We lost an entire colonization fleet to a pack of those monsters a century ago." Jack nodded, running a hand along Nemesis's scaled flank. "Indeed it is, Ambassador. But Nemesis here has been my faithful companion for over a decade. She's saved my life more times than I can count." Kralvor's eyes narrowed suspiciously. "And how, precisely, did you manage to tame such beasts? What manner of cruel subjugation did you employ?" "Doctor." Drake stepped forward, his weathered face creased with passion. "Subjugation? No, sir. Our approach is one of mutual respect and understanding. We call ourselves the Tamerses, not because we dominate these creatures, but because we've learned to communicate with them, to form bonds of trust and cooperation." He gestured to the assembled creatures. "Every species you see here, from the mighty titans to the ethereal void weavers, possesses a rich inner life, complex social structures, and a deep capacity for bonding. Our breakthrough was in recognizing that these monsters were not mindless killing machines, but sentient beings reacting to perceived threats." Zilax's gills flared in agitation, bubbles rising in his breathing apparatus. But the danger, the sheer destructive potential, is precisely why we've partnered with them, Admiral Chen interjected smoothly. "Gentle beings, what you see before you is not just a collection of tamed beasts. This is the vanguard of a new era of galactic exploration and colonization." Jack nodded, taking up the thread. "Those worlds you deemed too dangerous, too hostile for settlement. With our new allies, they're now within reach. Imagine Nick's Shadowstalkers scouting toxic jungles, void weavers facilitating travel to the most remote star systems, titans clearing land for settlements or defending them from natural disasters." "Doctor." Drake's eyes gleamed with enthusiasm. "But it's not just about what these magnificent creatures can do for us. It's about what we can do for them, and for the ecosystems they inhabit." He tapped a control on his wrist, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing lush alien landscapes teeming with life. "Our proposal to the Galactic Council is this: we will help you colonize these deadly worlds, but with strict conditions. The majority of each planet's land and water must be preserved as natural reserves. Resource extraction will be limited to the bare minimum required for sustainable colonization." Kralvor's tail swished thoughtfully. "And what of hunting? Surely such dangerous prey would make for legendary trophies." Jack's expression hardened, a dangerous glint in his eye. "That brings us to our final, non-negotiable condition. These creatures are to be treated as sentient partners, not animals to be exploited. Any mistreatment, any hunting for sport, will be met with the full force of Terran law. Offenders will face trial and a minimum sentence of 30 galactic standard years." A tense silence fell over the hangar. The council representatives exchanged meaningful glances, a silent debate raging between them. Finally, Zilax spoke, his voice tinged with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "What you propose. It is unprecedented, radical. It challenges millennia of galactic policy regarding dangerous fauna." Jack smiled, a predator's grin that matched Nemesis's toothy maw. "That's kind of our thing, Ambassador. Humanity has a long history of doing the unprecedented." "Doctor." Drake stepped forward, his voice gentle but firm. "We stand at a crossroads, honored representatives. We can continue to fear and destroy that which we don't understand, or we can embrace a new paradigm of coexistence. The choice is yours." Kralvor's massive frame seemed to deflate slightly, his earlier bravado fading. "And if we refuse? If the Council rejects your proposal?" Admiral Chen's voice was cold as deep space. "Then humanity will proceed alone. We'll settle these worlds with or without the Council's blessing. But consider this: do you really want us to be the only ones with access to such powerful allies?" The implications hung heavy in the air. Zilax's dark eyes darted from creature to creature to creature, his mind clearly racing. Finally, he straightened, assuming a formal pose. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I propose we adjourn to more comfortable surroundings to discuss the details of this extraordinary proposal." As the delegation was led away, Jack hung back, sharing a knowing look with Nemesis. The Nyx Shadowstalker's ruby eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Jack had come to recognize as amusement. "Yeah, old girl," he murmured, scratching the beast's scaled chin. "I think we've got them right where we want them." In the days that followed, the Void played host to intense negotiations. The Galactic Council representatives, initially skeptical and fearful, gradually warmed to the idea as they witnessed the incredible bonds between humans and their alien partners. They watched in awe as Void Weavers danced through simulated spatial anomalies, their graceful movements guided by the gentle touch of their human pilots. They marveled at the Titan's incredible strength as they effortlessly moved equipment that would have required heavy machinery to budge. But it was perhaps the smaller moments that truly swayed them. The sight of a hardened Marine sharing a quiet moment with his Shadowfang mount, the two communicating in a language of subtle gestures and low growls. Or Doctor. Drake patiently explaining to a fascinated Zilax how he had learned to interpret the complex bioluminescent patterns of the Void Weavers. As the negotiations drew to a close, a palpable sense of excitement filled the ship. The Council representatives, once wary, now spoke eagerly of the possibilities this new paradigm presented. On the final day, as the agreement was formally signed, Jack stood at attention, Nemesis a comforting presence at his side. He caught Dr. Drake's eye, and the two shared a silent moment of triumph. They had done it. The galaxy would never be the same. As the Council representatives prepared to depart, Zilax approached Jack, his dark eyes filled with a newfound respect. "Commander Hawthorne," he said, his translator struggling to convey the depth of emotion in his voice. "I must confess, when we first arrived, I thought your species reckless, dangerous even, but now I see that humanity's greatest strength is not in taming these magnificent creatures, but in your capacity to form bonds with them, to see potential where others see only threat." Jack nodded, absently stroking Nemesis's scaled head. "That's the thing about humanity, Ambassador. We've always been drawn to the wild places, the untamed frontiers. It's in our nature to reach out, to connect, especially when it seems impossible." Zilax's gills fluttered in what Jack had come to recognize as a gesture of deep thought. "I believe the galaxy will be watching humanity very closely in the coming years. You have set us all on a new path, one that I hope will lead to a more prosperous future for all species." As the last of the representatives boarded their shuttle, Jack turned to Dr. Drake. "Well, old friend, we did it. The Tamers are officially sanctioned. What's next?" Drake grinned, the excitement of new horizons gleaming in his eyes. "Next? Why, we've got a galaxy of untamable creatures to meet, Commander, and I, for one, can't wait to start listening to what they have to say." The Void's engines hummed to life, ready to chart a course to the next unexplored world. As Jack took his place on the bridge, Nemesis curled contentedly at his feet. He couldn't help but smile. The age of fear was over. The era of the Tamers had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. But as the Void prepared to jump to its next destination, Jack couldn't shake a nagging feeling in the back of his mind. They had achieved a monumental victory, yes, but with it came enormous responsibility. The power they now wielded, the ability to tame and partner with the galaxy's most fearsome creatures, was not to be taken lightly. He thought of the strict conditions they had laid out for the colonization of dangerous worlds. Would all of humanity adhere to these rules? What if some saw the potential for exploitation rather than cooperation? Jack's hand unconsciously tightened on Nemesis's scales. The Enix Shadowstalker, sensing her partner's unease, let out a low, comforting growl. "You're right," Girl Jack murmured. "We've got to stay vigilant. This isn't the end of our journey, it's just the beginning." As the stars outside the viewport blurred into streaks of light, Jack made a silent vow. He would ensure that the trust these creatures had placed in humanity was never betrayed. The Tamers would be a force for balance in the galaxy, bridging the gap between civilization and the wild, untamed frontiers of space. With Nemesis by his side and the vastness of the cosmos stretching out before them, Jack Hawthorne felt a renewed sense of purpose. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that the bonds forged between humans and their alien partners would be the key to facing them. The galaxy was changing and humanity was leading the charge. It was a heavy responsibility, but as Jack looked around at his crew, at the incredible creatures that now called the Void home, he knew they were ready for it. He called out, his voice steady and determined. "Set course for the Erebus Nebula. Let's see what other wonders and challenges are waiting for us out there." As the Void leapt into hyperspace, Jack couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. They were explorers, pioneers, and now, tamers of chaos, and the greatest adventure of all was just beginning.